The Dallas Cowboys started off the season basically shocking the entire NFL world when they traded away Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers. Normally, you don't trade away players that young, that good, simply because you want to cheap out on the contract. But Jerry Jones allegedly knew better, and so they traded Parsons for 2 future first-round picks. The season has gone on, and their defense has clearly suffered for it, for the simple fact that they can't create pressure and get to the quarterback. So to solve this, they then traded one of their future first-round picks for Quinnen Williams, a great defensive tackle who is honestly kind of nearing 30, so it's kind of like maybe you should have just kept Micah Parsons. But again, Jerry Jones knows better. They've also traded for George Pickens in the last year. Granted, they might end up having to franchise tag him because Jerry Jones doesn't want to give him a contract extension. Why? Well, because Jerry Jones knows better. In this rebuild, I am going to be taking over for Jerry Jones, not because he's dead, but I'm sure a lot of Cowboys fans aren't going to be too upset when that day finally comes here. And I'm going to try to rebuild the Cowboys into a Super Bowl winning team. And hopefully we can do that before Jerry Jones croaks. I'm not sure what the timeline for that actually is because he's old and rich. So those type of people seem to live forever. So this is the Cowboys roster. It is a roster, honestly. There's some young players on this offensive line. You know how the Cowboys do. It feels like they are a team that really does invest in their offensive line pretty well. And you have these guys now, I think this next generation of Cowboys offensive linemen that do have potential. They're young. They're going to have to develop. But I don't think we're going to be spending too much time having to try to like replace guys on the offensive line. You got Tyler Smith here, Tyler Guyton. I think you have some decent players here. So it's not something that I think we're going to have to spend too much time having to look at, having to worry about. Now, one of the things that's very different from most rebuilds that I do is we already have a great quarterback. Now, he is 32, but from my experience doing these rebuilds, I've noticed is that quarterback regression is not as aggressive as it has been in years past. I feel like maybe it really hasn't been that aggressive for a couple years. Most guys just end up retiring way before they probably have to from a rating standpoint. So you have that. You do got CeeDee Lamb here, who is super talented, great player, maybe missing a few of those. At times he just gets a case of the drops, right? He just gets a case of the dropsies on plays where it's like, you should make that play, and then he'll catch things where it's like, how the hell did you catch that? It's a very frustrating player at times. Speaking of frustrating, George Pickens, super talented. I think he's been a guy who hasn't really had too many outbursts this year. You know, that was kind of the thing with him is like, you know, can he keep his head on straight? And he has. So I don't know. Maybe that was just like a few isolated incidents in Pittsburgh. Maybe the Steelers should have kept him, honestly. I think their offense could use a guy like this. And then we take a look here at this defense. And the edge guys, I feel like just have not worked out personally. You know, they just kind of haven't been all that great. You know, I feel like you just haven't seen. I mean, I don't know if the idea was we're going to trade these guys away and then these guys are going to play great, because they kind of haven't. You know, they've kind of just been mid and they just can't get to the quarterback off the edge. And in the NFL, I think in the modern NFL, if your edge players cannot get pressure, no matter what quarterback you're facing, you are going to get diced up. You're going to get diced up. You're going to get, I think, embarrassed. And I think you're going to have a bad time. And I think that's kind of what you've seen here. And then you take a look here at this corner room. Some of these guys, you know, Deron Bland, you know, it's interesting because I don't know what the issue here is with the secondary at times. I can't help but wonder if a lot of the issues with the secondary this year is the fact that quarterbacks just have, you know, all day to stand back there against this defense. We're going to generate this lineup real quick here. I think there's some injuries going on. I'm not 100% sure. Let's go take a quick look here. Before we get into this rebuild, we're going to submit to the end of the season, see how we do. I don't think this team's going to make the playoffs. I don't suspect that's going to happen. But yeah, you see all these guys injured. Trayvon Diggs injured. Some of these guys are older, and some of these guys we are going to absolutely have to get rid of at the end of the season. So I'll see you at the end of the season. So we end up finishing 8-1, and you can't help but wonder if this team maybe still had a certain edge rusher. You know, maybe you win 2 to 3 extra games and you make the playoffs. But again, Jerry knows best. So we end up finishing 8-1. Let's go take a look here at the stats and awards. These are mostly based on real life stats already, but Dak Prescott put up some great numbers: 33 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Great season from Dak. Javonte Williams was okay. I am using a real draft class in this one. I know last video I said I might consider using a going back to generated, but I feel like for the Cowboys one, what I want to do here is use a real draft class. George Pickens, CD Lamb, great. Jake Ferguson, really good. I doubt he'll sim that well moving forward, just because I feel like I don't get tight ends to sim that well. There's a certain rating threshold with tight ends in the sim that gets them to sim better, and I don't know. Once you reach that threshold, that's when they'll finally start simming. But, you know, no one in double-digit sacks. I feel like if you're a team and you don't have anyone that's getting like double-digit sacks, for the most part, you probably don't have that good of a defense. I know there's like things like pressures and all this other stuff now that people really care about, but I do think getting the quarterback down is super important. If you can't do that, then I think that really does just say kind of a lot about your team. So we have a bunch of upgrades here. I am going to do all these upgrades, and then we're going to go into the offseason and into the draft, where we have 2 first-round picks. I don't think they traded one of their first-round picks for this draft. I think it was for next draft when they traded for Quinnen Williams. I could be wrong on that. I could go in here and be like, hey, we don't have 2 picks. Actually, we could check right here with the mock draft and take a look here at what's expected. We are going to have top 17 pick. We're definitely not going to take a left tackle, but we do have 2 first-round picks. So, you know, they're not great. I don't like. Is this really the best value for Micah Parsons? For one Micah Parsons, a pick that, and this is just a pick before the playoffs end, so it's sitting here at 22. This could be a pick that's all the way up here, 28, 29, just depending on how the Packers do in the playoffs. So that was always the risk of making that trade, and we're gonna have to deal with that now, thanks to Jerry Jones, because Jerry knows best. So got some retirements. Malik Davis, Miles Sanders, and Jadeveon Clowney all retire. They just had enough of being Dallas Cowboys. So we have no money, and that's not great. Negative $12.4 million. Anyone who plays a lot of Madden franchise, there's always these trades you want to do where like, hey, the Cowboys would make sense. They have no money. They're always like capped out, and you just can't really do anything. So what we're going to have to do here, I think, is quite simple, is we're going to have to make some trades. We can't do it right here, but we're going to have to make some moves with this team, I think, just to kind of get things better. I think Kenny Clark is a guy that we're going to have to trade. Now, I know in real life, they probably won't trade Kenny Clark, but he's 30 and he's a 78 overall. Like, his rating since he got traded to the Cowboys has taken like a massive hit. Trayvon Diggs is a guy that we're going to have to get rid of, I think, as well. You know, 28 years old, has a lot of time left on his contract. You know, one of the things we could do, I guess, is restructure this Quinnen Williams contract. That will free up some space this year. So we're going to free up some money, a couple of these contracts, and that's about it. Create a little bit of space just to keep some guys around. Logan Wilson, we're going to have to, you know, restructure that as well. And that should free up some money, only slightly. Oh boy, $8.79 million in cap. So let's go take a look here at the players ready to negotiate on who we're going to have to bring back. Javonte Williams, that's not going to happen. Jalen Tobert's probably not going to happen. Kier Elam, not going to happen. Donovan Wilson, not going to happen. All these guys, it's just not going to happen. Just not going to happen. I'm sure our kickers are free agent for some reason. Why are all the kickers always free agents? Is there like Did they not code in kicker contracts or something? We are going to keep Brendan Audrey around, and we're going to get that done. But that could end up being the only move we can make. Can I even offer this contract? Yeah. I can't even do it. Give me a team-friendly offer, George. We don't have the cap room to re-sign George Pickens. So I think what we're going to have to do, we're going to have to offer him like a really weird deal. So he says, I don't want this deal. I could be doing this wrong, but I feel like you have to just do, like, we're going to do this thing right here where he's like, I don't want this. Like, why are you even offering me this? You know, I don't know. He failed the drug test, so I was like, we can't really trust you, man. So here we go. I think free agents will be better for me in the long run. Yeah, about that. We're just going to franchise tag him. Now, that's going to put us in the hole a lot, but I do want to keep George Pickens. It's kind of important for me to keep George Pickens around. The rest of these guys, beat it, I guess. Oh boy, NFL free agency. That's where the Cowboys always sign all of their great players. We have no money. We have no money. We are negative $39.8 million in the hole. We have no money. So what are we going to do to get out of this hole? Well, I'm glad you asked. Simply put, we're going to have to trade some guys. And one of those guys is going to have to be Kenny Clark. Would like to keep him, but it's just not going to work out that way. So we're going to have to trade him away. And, you know, we're going to have to trade him to the 49ers in exchange for a corner, Renardo Green. Please try another offer. Oh, yeah, this is always the weird thing with the Cowboys. Can we make, due to salary cap restrictions? So I don't know if we can actually make any trades. We're going to have to, someone's going to have to take like $40 million. We might, you know what? This is kind of giving me life right now. Could we go to CeeDee Lamb, restructure his deal? We're going to have to free up some space. We're going to have to go to Dak. We can't restructure that. We got to find a way to restructure some more money. Oh, Jerry Jones. Jerry. Jerry Jones. I have no, can we restructure that? I mean, can we trade a guy after we restructured his deal? We're going to find out. We're going to restructure these. Both of these. Okay. I have no idea if there's anything else I can do. Okay, let's go try to now trade. This is probably still going to hurt our future cap too. Like, that's the thing. Our future cap is still going to get like absolutely hammered. Nobody wants that guy. Okay. Kenny Clark, advance. Oh my God. This is like going like a disaster right now. 49ers. Give me that corner. Give him to me. So we're going to have to attach someone with Kenny Clark on his way out. Like, that's what we're going to have to do. This is such BS. I gotta find like one extra guy. This is like super annoying. Sure. go find a team that needs a defensive tackle. At this point, I don't even care what I get back. I just want to, hey, you guys have a lot of cap room. Give me 2 4th-round picks. There. That's what we have to do. I have to get these guys off the books. And we have technically, now that is, like I said, that's going to hurt our cap, but we're getting rid of those guys to potentially help future cap. I don't know. I might have just screwed us for like a year, but we need to get young players at that too. So that probably took way too long. I'm going to see if I can do something for Trayvon Diggs next. Okay, I said I wanted to keep George Pickens, but I just don't think that's going to be possible with the implications of how screwed up our cap is. So I'm going to do something a little not outside the box, but we're going to trade George Pickens to the Tennessee Titans and a 2027 second-round pick in exchange for Olufemi Oladejo. He usually progresses pretty well, so we're going to get a young pass rusher here, and a 2026 second-round pick and a 2028 4th-round pick. So you really think about it, the trading for George Pickens, and you're out of George Pickens, you gave up a 3rd-round pick, but you're going to end up with Olufemi Oladejo, a 2nd-round pick, and a 2028 4th-round pick. So all of that technically really only cost you a 3rd-round pick when you really kind of think about it in a weird way, right? I think I'm thinking about this right. I don't know. Would you be happy with that, Cowboys fans? Let me know. I'm probably screwing this up really bad, but this is such a weird situation to be in, honestly. I mean, I don't really find myself in this sort of situation doing these rebuilds ever. It's just, it's very rarely do you ever get in like this screwed up of a situation. Just because you kind of don't do things like trading away Micah Parsons. But Trayvon Diggs, does no one want Trayvon Diggs? Am I going to have to like attach a pick to Trayvon Diggs to get someone to want him? Here's like a 4th. Does nobody want Trayvon Diggs? What is going on? I have never seen a situation where like nobody wants a player. Like at all. Like, do the Cardinals want him? Like, I'm willing to get rid of Trayvon Diggs. He's not going to get any better. I'll take a 5th for him, right? Realistically, that's probably where his trade value is. And they accept it. I don't think Trayvon Diggs has great trade value right now. So we're going to send him to the Cardinals for 5 in the 2026 draft. So big changes to this roster. We have no cap room. All of our additions are going to have to come in the draft. Okay, so we are in the draft here. We're going to skip ahead to our next user pick, which is our first user pick, which is going to be number 16 in the draft. What is this Cowboys team going to do? There's a lot of things we need to fix on this roster as the Noah Sellers ends up going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. What do we need? What do we need to go out and do? Anthony Hill Jr., I think that would make a lot of sense for us. I think another pick that would make a lot of sense, Jeremiah Love. He is probably the best player in the draft, right? But I really do think what we're actually going to do here is I think we're going to take Anthony Hill Jr. out of Texas. I think this makes a lot of sense. You go out here, you just get yourself an elite defender. I know there's some edge rushers still on the board. David Bailey from Texas Tech, who we did take, and I believe we took him in our last rebuild, so I tried to avoid doing that. Danny Sutton out of Penn State, another one of these just Penn State edge rushers. LT Overton. But I think what we're going to, and Jeremiah Love, that would be a lot of fun, but what I've just noticed in the Madden Sim engine is that these guys running backs just don't do that well unless they're like 90 plus overall. That's when they start to do well. So what we're going to do is going to be Anthony Hill Jr., linebacker out of Texas. I think that is a pretty realistic pick. I do think the Cowboys would be interested in a player like this. Again, 92 speed, 91 jumping, great athlete. Hopefully he's a good player, but maybe he can be the next great Dallas Cowboys middle linebacker. So our second pick in this first round, and we're looking around here. What do we want to do? Sutton is still here, and block shedding's a C, his finesse moves a C, power moves is an A. He looks like he has great physicals, and his play rec is a B. So normally that should be pretty good enough. The play rec, I think, really does matter for these edge rushers. Block shedding does as well, of course, but Danny Dennis Sutton is going to be the pick here, and he's ranked number 23 in true value, and we got him at number 24 in the draft. That is the pick that we got from the Green Bay Packers. He does have normal dev, probably a little disappointing, but I'll take it, honestly. So our next pick is actually coming up pretty quickly here. This is a pick that we got from the Tennessee Titans in the George Pickens trade. So let's go and make that pick. As we see some more of these big names go off the board. Cardinal Tate going off the board right there. And we do need another receiver. But boy, oh boy. Boy, oh boy. Jeremiah Love is still here. And I think at this point in the draft, you have to do it. I think the value is just too good here in the second round to pass up on a player like this. I think in real life, if you saw him in the Pittsburgh game, he looked amazing. I mean, he just looked like, again, like the best player in the class. So we're going to take Jeremiah Love here. I know a lot of people actually have this mocked in the first round, them taking Jeremiah Love, but we're going to get him in the second round, at the start of the second round, because of the Pickens trade. So I think that works out pretty well for us, honestly. And we still have, and we're not going to be picking for a while here, not until round 4. So I think those 3 picks had to count Anthony Hill, Sutton, and Jeremiah Love. Had to make those picks work. And I think they did. I think we did a pretty good job right there. So we come back here, 4th round of the draft. We have 3 picks in this round. And this is where you can really find some value. And I really wish my phone would stop doing this. Jesus Christ. This is where you can really find some value. Now, what we have to find, I think, is maybe some extra receivers. And, this team needs some more receivers. It just does. Things didn't work. Look, I wish I could have kept George Pickens. It's just this team was so screwed up with some of this stuff. So I think we just had to not do that. I think it worked out somewhat well for us though. Chris Bell, he doesn't have great ratings, which is weird because I was just watching him. I thought he looked honestly really good. Okay. That's this draft class. I'm definitely going to look around for some different draft classes that are based on this 2026 class. I just want to get a different feel for some of these different classes. None of these receivers really interest me. They don't look that good. Any tight ends that are interesting? Not particularly, honestly. This guy does have good catch in traffic, though. It isn't a joy. Seriously, what is this? Joe Royer out of Cincinnati. Doesn't look that bad, honestly. All his physicals look good. Good awareness, good catch in traffic. B catching, A short route. Let's take a look. Let's take a shot on Joe Royer. You always want to be trying to get different guys in here, and he's just okay. Nothing great, nothing special, but I think kind of just a shot in the dark type of pick. And I just think that's kind of what you need to do here when you have these sorts of picks in the draft. Still looking around here, Chris Bell, that's not going to happen. He doesn't look very good. So looking around, seriously, if there's anything that catches my eye here at this point. Again, none of these later round receivers look all that interesting. There's probably just too much work that has to be done with them. And Xavier Harris doesn't look good either. He has great strength, but we'll take a look at some other defensive tackles. If I can't find anything that really interests me, I could potentially look to move these picks. Actually, Dominique orange from Iowa State. Power moves. No, not really. He has good play rec, but everything else is just kind of mid for Dominique Orange. So that is probably not going to happen. Is there any corners that look decent here? And the answer to that is no. They all have really bad play rec. Any safeties are interesting? The answer is really no. They all have really bad play rec. The reason why I'm so focused on play rec is that really matters in the sim. So that's kind of why I'm focused on that. So yeah. We'll take a flyer on Chris Bell. I have to say I did watch a little bit of like the most recent Louisville game, and I thought Chris Bell looked pretty good, but 89 speed, 89 jumping. We'll see if he turns out to be a player at all. And then this is gonna be the last pick we're gonna make here. And at this point, we're gonna take another corner. Actually, no, Ricardo Holman looks terrible. What about Caden Curry? Does he look any good? He has B. Everything else is marginal. So that doesn't look really good. And Patrick Payton, does he look any? He has CC across the board, like my report card. Poor strength, though. Great speed. Late change of direction. We'll take a flyer on him. 4th round flyer. And yeah, I don't know. 255, kind of small. Maybe he'll be good. Maybe he won't. But I'll see you at the draft recap. So our draft recap is not that bad, honestly. 78 overall for Anthony Hill Jr. He looks really, really good. Honestly, this is my first time actually taking Anthony Hill Jr. I've been taking Arvell Reese. So I had to change things up a little bit. Zone coverage needs a lot of work. We're going to have to do a lot of work on here. He is not a finished product. I do have to give credit to the guy who makes these draft classes. I really do like the idea of these players having these really good physicals, but in terms of players, they're not finished products. They are, I feel like some of these are ratings where, maybe EA, if they were making them, they'd maybe undersell the physicals and then oversell the actual ability. So Danny Sutton here, 76 overall. We get another edge rusher in the house. Finesse moves, we're going to have to work on that. Block shedding, going to have to work on that. Really good physicals, but everything else we're going to have to work on. But I think we have the ability to do that, right? I think the Cowboys have shown they can develop players. It's just, are they actually going to pay them when they need to pay them is the other question. Now, Jeremiah Love out of Notre Dame is an 81 overall. He might be he's probably the second highest rated player in the draft class, and we got him in the second round, essentially for George Pickens. And I think that was a pretty good trade, honestly. I think that trade made some sense, despite it maybe probably screwing up our cap for a year, making sure that we really couldn't go out and play in free agency. 95 speed, 95 acceleration, ball carry vision is an 82. I think that does help in the sim as well. So he actually might do really well for us, if I'm being honest. So I'm going to be kind of excited to see what Jeremiah Love is able to do for us. I never really get to play with great players like this, so I am excited to see that. Joe Royer is a 69 overall. Chris Bell is a 70 overall, not hidden dev. Again, physicals all look good. It's maybe the catching and traffic we got to do a lot of work with him, right? It's a work in progress with Chris Bell. He's only 22, so time is on his side. And the Cowboys have shown ability, I think, to develop receivers pretty well. Then we took Patrick Payton, and that is a 71 overall as well. So we took another edge player right there. Then also took a flyer on Cade Klubnik, and then there's this Iowa corner who has everything is hashtags. I wish my phone would quit going off. Iowa corner. I gotta look this guy up on the roster because I have no clue who this could be. I really don't know, if I'm being honest. He is 6'2". I'm looking here for any 6'2" Iowa corners. And the only one I can see is Xavier Juan Kappa.
Xavier Wampa.
Xavier Wampa.
Xavier Wampa.
Okay, shout out to the Iowa website, knowing that us white, I'm part white, but these honkies in Iowa, they probably can't pronounce some of these names. So I am going to assume that is Xavier Wampa. That's who I'm going to make an assumption that's who this is. I could be wrong, but the age lines up. He's a senior. 6'2", 213 pounds. So I'm not sure why his name got completely turned into hashtags. That's very weird. I'm gonna assume that his name is Xavier Wampa, or I'm gonna say that's who this is. It's very weird that his name got flagged like that, but I don't know. Xavier Wampa. It's weird because it doesn't look like that. I think because so much in the Midwest we're used to like Polish names where you do kind of pronounce the K's and P's and stuff in people's names. So it's kind of weird to see a name where you're not pronouncing it, right? Like that's a little odd. So we're going to save those changes. Hopefully it doesn't break anything. So yeah, Xavier Wampa, I believe that's who that is. Looks all right actually for a late round guy. Just got to work on those, play rec's really bad. Does have good physicals. We'll see if we can develop them, but that's the draft class. And then I'm gonna go do training camp and then we're gonna start the season. Before we start the season, we are trading Joe Milton to the Indianapolis Colts for a 5th round pick. They don't have Daniel Jones anymore. They never keep Daniel Jones around, so they need another quarterback. I'll send them one. All right, so this is the team for year 1, technically 2. Technically 1, but actually 2. But whatever. We're just going to do 4 seasons on from this season right here, so kind of ignore what we did first. But this is the first year. It's not very good. The receiving core, not good. We didn't have money to go out there and get receivers. We didn't really draft any receivers, so it's kind of all on CeeDee Lamb. We do have Jeremiah Love. We do have a good offensive line. Defensively, I think we're okay, honestly. Look, it's not great. It's not great. Let me be 100% straight here. It is not great. I'm going to go in here and kind of fix this up a little bit because that isn't how I want it. I don't want Anzarike starting. I want Oladejo starting along with Sutton. That's kind of what I want to have, but I'll go through. I'll get that all set up. Hopefully the CPU doesn't change my settings but that's kind of what the CPU does. It enjoys doing that, but we are going to hope that we can put together a decent enough season. I'm not trying to tank. There's really no reason for us to tank. We're going to try to make the playoffs. We're going to try to compete, even though this receiving core is kind of awful, but I'll see you at the midseason mark. So, midseason mark, we are 4-3 after losing 2 close games in a row, 3-0 to the Steelers, 31-28 to the Jaguars. But we are kind of in the mix in the NFC East. Technically third place, but Commanders, Philly ahead of us. Let's take a look at the stats, kind of see how we're doing. And Dak Prescott putting up numbers, 12 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. Not so great, but I kind of expected that. Running game not really working too good. That's a little disappointing. Chris Bell playing pretty well. So he's probably going to progress pretty well. But apart from that, things are not looking all that hot for us. And defensively, how are we doing? And Quinnen Williams, 6.5 sacks. 6 sacks for Olufemi Oladejo. 4.5 for Danny Sutton. I'm not going to say Danny Dennis Sutton. We're just going to call him Danny Sutton. And then everyone else is just kind of there. But top 3 guys, really, who we want to have get after the quarterback are doing it. So that's really good. Anthony Hill Jr. with 2 interceptions so far on the year. Corey Ballantyne with an interception, along with Deron Ban and Kalen Carson. So that's looking okay. I'll see you at the playoffs. I'm not going to make any moves. We kind of aren't in position to go around making moves, so we're just going to kind of stand pat at the deadline. We're going to see what we can get going. If we can play well down the stretch, that's great. If not, oh well, because this Cowboys team, I think, is going to need multiple years of kind of getting right, stacking up talent again to kind of, I think, get back to real Super Bowl contention. Granted, we wouldn't really have to do that too much. We still had a guy like Micah Parsons, but, like I said earlier, Jerry knows best. All right, so we do not make the playoffs. We end up finishing 8-9. So that's pretty disappointing. Back-to-back years of missing the playoffs for the Cowboys. I doubt that's what Jerry had in mind when he made that trade, but Dak Prescott, 29 touchdowns, 212 interceptions on the year. Very good season for him. Jeremiah Love eventually managed to, I think, get going in the second half of the season. 841 yards, 8 touchdowns. Also added in some receiving as well. So well over 1,000 kind of all-purpose yards. CD Lamb, great season. Chris Bell had a really good season. Jonathan Mingo was productive. Jake Ferguson was productive for us. And defensively, what happened here? And 12 sacks for Quinnen Williams. And it looks like Danny Sutton and Olafemi kind of slowed down in terms of kind of slowed down a little bit. So that's a little disappointing. So Anthony Hill Jr., 3 interceptions. Shavon Revel Jr. with 2 interceptions, and yeah, so that sucks. Would have liked to have made the playoffs, honestly, but for how much work we had to do, I think remaking this thing to be financially, I think, workable moving forward, I think we're able to do that. And we have a bunch of upgrades, so I'm going to do all these upgrades, and then we're going to take a look at the roster and kind of see how it looks at the end of the season. So this is the team to close out our first year, and we were able to get Chris Bell up pretty high, rated up to an 81 overall, actually. So he had a really good year, put him in the slot. That always works in the sim. And he had a good year, put up numbers, and he was able to progress. So he should be a good piece for us moving forward. Still have work to do to build out this receiving room, though. Jeremiah Love had a pretty good season once we got things kind of back going on track for him. His ratings are really good, so he should keep simming even better as we go throughout this franchise. And then, actually, kind of a sneaky thing here, Cade Klubnik, who I kind of just took on a flyer, had hidden dev, has star, is up to a 73 overall. Now, I'm not saying I'm for sure going to move away from Dak Prescott. That's not going to happen just yet, but, if I see any sort of regression that I don't like, which is always possible, and you do see a little bit of regression here, just some, nothing too seriously, just -1. He can earn that back easily with a few upgrades in season, with a few milestones and things like that. Usually these quarterbacks usually get 1 or 2 upgrades once they're that rated highly, so you should always be fine with that sort of stuff. But hey, if we have to go out there and, do it, I'll do it. But defensively, we were able to get Xavier Wampa up to a 76 overall. So that was a great pick, super late pick. Still have some work to do to get that play rec up and things like that. But apart from that, that's a pick that looks like that's going to work out. And that was a pick made by the CPU. So good job to the Madden AI for once, doing something right. Maybe we'll say Jerry Jones made that pick. That'll be our story. But Olafemi Oladejo goes up to Superstar Dev. That's always great to see. That should further help with that progression. He's still super young. So it looks like we have some young edge rushers here that could potentially help us build for the future of this defense. Now, Quinnen Williams had a great season. Still need to build up this defensive line for the long term, though, because Quinnen Williams isn't necessarily the long term. He's 29 years old. That's why everything that the Cowboys did, trading away Micah Parsons, really made no sense. It did not get you closer to a Super Bowl in the near term. Long term, hey, who knows? But short term, no. Jerry, you don't trade away young 25, 26-year-old superstar players. You don't do that. That's a no. Danny Sutton is going to end his rookie year at an 80 overall. So he had a good year too, and so still ways to go for him a little bit here. Get those finesse moves up, want to get that block shedding up, and want to get that play rec up as well. Those are all big stats, particularly the play rec and the block shedding for edge rushers. So let's get into the offseason. So in terms of re-signings, again, we have no money. And I'm not going to be kicking the can down the road or anything like that. We are just going to let these guys all walk. It's going to have to be us picking up guys in the draft. That's simply what it's going to have to be. And our punter retired, so we're going to have to figure something out. But, yep, not bringing back any of these guys. We don't have the money to do it, and I'm not looking to do anything crazy like, you know, I'm not trying to look to do anything nuts, right? We have to get our head above water in terms of the cap so we can maybe make some moves in free agency next year. That's what we have to do. So we are going to try to attempt to trade Osa Odigizua for Martin Emerson, a little bit younger corner, and a 5th round pick. And they accept that. So we do make a trade that does clear a little bit of cap space for us. We're going to come back in here. We're going to see, is there anyone else that I think I can maybe get rid of, that I think we can just say bye-bye to? You know, Terrence Steele is starting to get up there in age, and he's only a 75 overall, but I think Logan Wilson is a guy that we could look to get rid of. He's not going to start for us. He's 31 years old. I'm not sure I went into edit player right there. I think maybe a force of habit. But Logan Wilson, 31 years old. Why did they do that? What is going on here? This thing sucks. These menus suck, EA. Am I missing him now? There we go. Logan Wilson. Okay, Jesus Christ. Logan Wilson is going to get traded here. We're going to look for an offer, see if we can find anything that we'd like. And, you know, is there anything here that I like? And there's a running back. There's a weak inside linebacker who's 25. But Tonka Hemingway, I liked Tonka Trunks when I was a kid. We're going to make that trade. We're going to send Logan Wilson to the Raiders. We clear a little bit of cap room. I don't think enough to go out there and do anything in free agency. That's certainly not going to be a thing that we're going to be doing, but we did clear some cap room. We have $7 million in cap. We need a punter because our punter retired, actually. So we're going to have to find a punter. And Jack Fox, here's a 2-year deal, pal. You should love it. We're going to bring him in, and then we're going to find one extra spare, super duper mega cheap receiver, if we can find one. And, you know, Kevontae Turpin, no. John Mechie. I have no idea if we can actually offer this. So let's add an extra year and take that down just slightly. 4-year deal. I have no idea if he'll actually accept that. I do like John Mechie, actually. I'm glad to see that he's, like, in real life actually playing and could potentially make an impact on a roster. Went through, I believe, leukemia. So always going to root for a guy like that. And our signings are going to be Jack Fox, a punter, and John Mechie. So we add another wide receiver to the room, and that is going to do it for free agency because I'm not going to be restructuring any contracts. We are not going to be doing anything like that. And on to the draft. So in terms of the draft, what are we expected to do? Well, we only have the one pick because our other pick went to the Jets to get Quinnen Williams. So right now we are expected to take Sammy Brown. This guy made my life hell, I believe, in one of my dynasties that I played. When I played against Clemson, I remember him just causing havoc all over the field. So Sammy Brown is someone that we're expected to take. Looks really good. So, you know, if you get to the point where Sammy Brown's on the board, yeah, I could totally see us taking him. And actually we come up here and to the point where actually I was looking at the wrong mock draft. The Bengals are expected to take Sammy Brown. We're expected to take Bray Hubbard from from Alabama. I almost said Alabama in a really weird way. He looks all right. I doubt that's going to happen, though. I'm not sure what exactly I want to do. I would love to get another corner in here that would make Deron Bland expendable for us. That's something that I think we should have to do. Again, this Cowboys team is so weird. There's all these old guys here that we're going to have to start kind of getting out of the way, that we're going to have to get out of here with. And this is our pick right here. And we could be picking top 15, but we traded it for Quinnen Williams because Jerry knows best. So here we are in the 2027 draft. We're going to sim to our next user pick. I don't know why I keep saying that. I'm sim to our first pick here. We are going to pause the draft. So the Chargers end up with the first overall pick in the draft. They end up with Jeremiah Smith, which would be absolutely insane. And then the Seahawks going to get Ryan Williams. The Jets get Dylan Stewart, and they also get Amari Washington. So that's actually a guy I was looking at. I didn't know if he would fall that much, but we are going to make our selection here. And, we could use another receiver. We absolutely still need help at receiver. And Cam Coleman is a guy who I haven't taken yet in any of these rebuilds. He looks like a great physical player, and his actual ratings look pretty good here. Spec catch could use some work, but he has good catching, good release with a B. Route running needs a little bit of work, but Cam Coleman is going to be the pick here. 6'2", 206 pounds, out of Auburn. Gonna grab Cam Coleman, and I think that's a good pick. Reliable hands, hidden dev, 93 speed, 95 acceleration. I think that's a pick that we had to make, and we don't pick again until the third round. So, again, Jerry knows best. So back in the draft here, looking around what we want to do, and I said I wanted to get some more corners, but none of the corners really stood out to me. And a guy that did stand out to me was DJ Hicks. I know his moves aren't great, but B, A, play rec, B, block shedding. The moves are going to need some work. But DJ Hicks, I'm going to take him, honestly. We need to start getting younger on the defensive line. And yeah, we might double up, honestly, when we come back in round 4. If there's any more talented defensive linemen there, we're probably just going to take them as well. Got to get better on the defensive line. Particularly, got to just get younger, too. I mean, especially after we traded away Odigizua. Why are these menus so slow? Why is this so slow? It's like a snail's pace, honestly. Very annoying, honestly, but there is a corner here, potentially. We're going to look around. Again, not opposed to taking a corner here. B, catching. C, man coverage. C, press. C, zone coverage. Some elite stuff here. His play recognition is an F, so that's just going to be a no for me, dog. Not going to take a guy with F play rec, because I just know he's not going to be that good. Even though he is around 2 to 3 talent, which is really interesting. But yeah, not going to happen. Here is Isaiah Horton, round 3 to 4 talent. A, E, F deep route. He also doesn't look that good, honestly. So there's some corners here. We'll take a look here at some weak inside linebackers as well. None of them really stand out that much. Just don't know enough about them. Arion Carter. He has great speed, though. We're just going to take Arion Carter. I like some of the stuff I saw right there, so we're going to take him. Ooh, that might be a bad pick. That might be a bad pick. You know what? I'm going to let Jerry handle the rest of the draft. I'll see you for the draft recap. So, draft recap, and we get a lot younger at receiver. Cam Coleman looks really good. DJ Hicks, I think, looks decent enough. He'll play for sure. Arion Carter, not the best pick. 68 overall. Not very good. Terrible man coverage. Yeah, I mean, 64 zone coverage. That's not a good pick. I screwed that one up. But London Humphreys, a 70 overall, 95 speed. He looks pretty good, honestly. Normal dev, but we're going to get some speed in this wide receiver room. Bo Sparks out of Texas State as well. 93 speed, 92 acceleration, 81 catching. Got to work on the route running, but he might progress for us pretty well, honestly. And then Jaden Bellamy, a guy who I thought about taking in the Arion Carter spot. We do end up getting. He is a 70 overall. Man coverage needs work. Zone coverage is okay. Play rec, not great. Only a 60. But 95 acceleration, good athlete. Hopefully he can develop for us. But I'm going to go in, do the training camp, and then I'll see you for the start of technically year 2. Dak Prescott's days in Dallas may be numbered. We get a dev trait upgrade for Cade Klubnik. He goes up to a superstar dev. And that makes it very, very enticing to cut bait with Dak Prescott and move on to Cade Klubnik. But we're going to give Dak one more year before we even think about doing something like that. So here we are for year number 2. I forget. But Jeremiah Love comes into his second season at 88 overall. I'm expecting big things from him. Honestly, mostly because we have improved this wide receiver room. It took us some time, obviously, but Cam Coleman, Bo Sparks, we got a couple other guys here, John Mechie. It's a good receiving core. It's a lot better than last year's. Defensively, are we that much better? Not really. Honestly, I don't think we're significantly better. I think we're kind of in the same spot, if I'm being honest. We just have to hope some of these players take a step. Xavier Wampa, I hope we can take another step for us. Quinnen Williams is here, probably going to be his last year here, honestly. Depending on how we look at the midseason mark, we might be sellers at the deadline, honestly. That's really the truth of the matter. So I'm going to get out of here. We're going to see how we do at the midseason mark, and I'll see you there. Hopefully we're doing well. If not, we might have to start selling off some of these older players in total. I mean, we have to go into full-on sell-off mode to take another step back to try to hopefully take a few steps forward. All right, 2-5. It's time to begin the great sell-off. That's what we're going to have to do. Can't sit here at 2-5 and expect that this is going to turn around. It's probably not going to happen. So that's is what it is. I am using the Cowboys playbook, and so we'll take a look at the stats and see why it's not really working out in the sim. I'm somewhat interested in that. But yeah, it's not working out in the sim. Take a look at the stats and awards, and Dak, 14 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. The offense seems to be okay. Jeremiah Love. Yeah, Coleman putting up some numbers. Chris Bell putting up numbers. Jake Ferguson, Jeremiah Love. These guys aren't really doing anything right now. So, yeah, defensively, what's going on defensively? 5 sacks for Danny Sutton. Quinnen Williams, 4.5. Olafeme. Tonka Hemingway playing well, actually. 3 sacks for him. Patrick Payton with a sack. Half a sack for those guys. So I'm not really sure what's going on here. I'm not sure why this is not. Take a look at our schedule. Are we getting blown out? And, it's a lot of close games. I mean, they're all, these are all like one possession games that we're losing. So that is just very disappointing. But 2-5 here, probably not going to make the playoffs. It's probably time to begin trading pieces off. Simply put, it's time. It's time to begin doing that. And that is going to be with Quinnen Williams. I mean, look, 29 years old. We're going to have to go out here and make a change because this is not working. the way it's how we thought it was. So we're gonna take a look around here, see if we could find anything that we like. And there's Charles Cross right there. I'm somewhat interested in that. I want to see actually how much longer he has on his deal. I want to take a look here. Charles Cross, did I just completely miss him? I'm actually interested in trading for Charles Cross. I just want to see how much longer he has on his contract, actually. So this shouldn't take too long. Contract. And he signed for this year and next year. So I am willing to make this trade, actually. I will acquire another tackle. Cross will play at right tackle for us, but we do get another tackle here. So we're going to send Quinnen Williams to Seattle. We're also going to, and we're not done with trades, honestly. So we got some more trades that we're going to make. The big one here, could we trade Dak? Are there offers out there for us to trade Dak Prescott away? Hey, we could get... Madden is so funny at times. Let's go look at the Browns quarterback situation. Do they even have a quarterback? Yes, they do. They have Julian Sayin. That's not going to happen. Go Dak again. Let's see. Could we trade him mid-season somewhere and get a bunch of stuff? I believe they took Fernando Mendoza. What's going on with the Panthers? I'll get rid of one of those picks because I want to see, do they still have Bryce Young? They still have Bryce Young. He's an 80 overall. They have Ty Simpson as well. So that's not going to work. And they extended Bryce Young, clearly. So we could just do that and get Teteroa McMillan. That'd be completely cheesy. We're not going to trade Dak, though. That would be... not yet. That would be really interesting to do, but we're not going to do that right here. This rebuild, man, this feels like that Packers rebuild, but like nothing went right for us. So Deron Bland, we could potentially look to move him. Could get Chris Jenkins here. But I think we've done a rebuild where we got Chris Jenkins, but I have no problem getting him again, if I'm being entirely honest. Brian Brzee and a bunch of picks. That could work, honestly. Could do another trade with the Titans. Counter offer this. We'll take out Brzee. We're still going to add Brzee back in. I just want to see how long his contract is. And he has 2 years left. So, younger player. We get a 5th round, a 7th round, and a 7th round and Brzee. Let's push this a little bit more, actually, in terms of the picks. I want a 2nd and a 5. Actually, trade declined. Okay, can't get a 2. What about a 3? A 3 and a 5. That gets it down. We get Brian Brzee, a 2028 5th and a 2028 3rd round pick as well. So making moves, making trades, acquiring picks, because this team is not it. It's just not it. And because we acquired Charles Cross, that actually makes Terrence Steele tradable. But nobody wants Terrence Steele. No, does nobody in need of a right tackle? The Broncos say they need a right tackle. What do the Broncos have? They have McGlinchey, so I'm not sure why it says they need a right tackle. They could use a spare tackle because maybe this guy, neither one of these guys are working out for him. So, give me a 5th for him. Oh, they have no cap room. Well, I think that's going to do it for trades. We're going to advance to the end of the season. We're not going to make the playoffs. So, this rebuild is not going well right now. All right, so I did find a trade for Dak Prescott, and Dak Prescott is going to the Las Vegas Raiders. They only have Garrett Nussmeier. I doubt that was a 1st round pick, so I think this is a move that, a 2028 1st, a 2028 2nd, a 2029 2nd, and a 2029 3rd for Dak Prescott. The Dak Prescott era comes to an end in Dallas is going to get restarted in Las Vegas, and we have to go sign a spare backup quarterback right now because moving forward, our starting quarterback will be Cade Klubnik. I didn't look. I think we just had to make that move. Honestly, I think that was something we just had to do. We're gonna find a backup here that we like, and Teddy Bridgewater, perfect backup quarterback for a young quarterback in Cade Klubnik, who is now taking over, who is going to be the man here in Dallas. And he's the man in Dallas now because, well, we got that dev trade upgrade, and at that point, I think Dak was on borrowed time. And then when you start the way that we started at 2-5, I think you have to make this move. You have to make this switch. You have to get your young quarterback onto the field. Where does that leave us with other things? I don't know. CeeDee Lamb, probably interesting. Does CeeDee Lamb want to be part of a rebuild? Probably not, right? CeeDee Lamb probably does not want to be part of a rebuild, and we are going to have to figure that out. But I'll see at the end of the season. We'll see how we'll do. But Dak Prescott traded to the Raiders. All right, so we finished the season 7-10. So we actually must have played well down the stretch, honestly, despite making that trade. The Raiders do make the playoffs at 9-8. So, Cade Klubnik, 2,500 yards, 27 touchdowns, 5 interceptions in half a season of work. We can work with this. We can make something happen with this, I think. And Jeremiah Love, his first 1,000-yard season. That's great to see, honestly. And then for our receiving, CeeDee Lamb played well. Chris Bell played well. Cam Coleman played well. Jake Ferguson, Jeremiah Love. And so that's always really good to see, honestly. And then defensively, Brian Brzee, 8 sacks. I don't know how many of those came before we traded for him, but he did get some. So Oladejo, Tonka Hemingway with 6 sacks on the year. I like seeing that. So 5 interceptions for Anthony Hill Jr. is awesome. And so, yeah, this team is going to it's really starting to look really different. We've had to trade a lot of guys away. Hopefully we can start next year and get into the playoffs and hopefully make something happen. But let's get to the offseason. So Cam Coleman ends up winning Offensive Rookie of the Year, had a great season, and that gets him all the way up to a superstar dev. So that's a great pick already working out for us. And again, I still think the future of this team's bright. It's just probably going to take longer than I wanted to. So we open up free agency with $99 million in cap space. Sometimes you have to take a step back to take a step forward, and we did that when we traded all those guys away. When we traded Quinnen Williams, when we traded Deron Bland, when we broke the dam and traded Dak Prescott. We now have a ton of cap space. We have a ton of picks. We have a young quarterback who could be the guy to win Jerry another Super Bowl. So I'm going to get into free agency. We're going to see what we do. I'm not going to let you know who's in the class yet until I sign them. Actually, we're going to go take a look real quick. Yes, I want to view available free agents. And there's a lot of good players here. Cooper DeJean. We could steal Cooper DeJean away. Steal him away from the Philadelphia Eagles. What a punch that would be, right? There's a lot of good players here that we can go out here and get this team back on track, get back to our championship contending ways. And we're going to try to do that here. So I'll let you see what we get in free agency. Oh, what a free agency class right here. Cooper DeJean coming to Dallas. We steal him away from Philadelphia. We get Theo Johnson as well, 27-year-old tight end. We also signed Max Melton. I wasn't sure if I was going to get DeJean, so we also decided to sign Melton as well. And so, truthfully, honestly, that's probably going to be it for free agency. I don't really think we need to do anything else. I think we're pretty good here. This guy looks all right, though, honestly. We have Tonka Hemingway. We have, DJ Hicks. But you know, Brian Brzee only has 2 years left, so let me just go out here. And there we go. We get Rook Oroaro. I hope that's how I pronounce that guy's name. Sorry if I messed it up, buddy. But we bring him in. So a bunch of big signings here. And hopefully we can get this team back right going. More improvements to the defense. We get younger. Our offense is good. Our line is good. Our receivers are good. Maybe we could use some more linebackers. That's the only other position I think we can actually maybe go after, is to maybe find another weak inside linebacker. I think we could use another one. And Dorian Williams looks kind of interesting. So maybe a 3-year deal for him. Maybe this will get it done. Dorian Williams doesn't look too bad. And we get, what's going on here? We get Dorian Williams as well. So defense going the right way. Let's get into the draft. I don't think we need to do any more in free agency. So we are in the 2028 draft here. The Jets picking first yet again, I believe. I believe they consistently have been picking first. At least the second or third time they have done this. But we're going to skip to our next pick. Our first pick here in the first round, which is pick number 12. And we're going to make our selection. And I thought about a quarterback, Robert Pritchard. I thought about, he does have strong arm. I know we've moved on to Cade Klubnik, but he could potentially be a free agent somewhat soon. And, you know, that could be something we look to stymie. Right, he doesn't have great throw power, but one of the players who I spotted in this draft class was Chris Caldwell, a tight end out of West Virginia. He looks great. Great speed, elite jumping, great change of direction, great agility, great acceleration. I want to get younger at that position, and I know, again, this might be a reach, but he has hidden dev. I don't think this is a reach. I think this was the right pick to make. We're going to grab this player right here at 12. We value him higher than the rest of the draft does. But none of those quarterbacks went. And we are going to take a quarterback here. We are going to be in a position to be fine at quarterback with whatever happens in the next few years. And this is going to be really simple. Robert Pritchard, quarterback. Gonna go here at number 19 in the draft. Normal dev, but 97 throw power. 97 throw power, A, deep accuracy, B, medium accuracy, D, short accuracy. Cade Klubnik's probably sitting there like, what the hell? I thought this thing got handed over to me. Well, it did. It's just that, you know, you have to be sure we're not going to be caught with our pants down at quarterback. Simple as that. Not going to happen here in Dallas. We're not going to be caught with our pants down at quarterback. So that is just something that I am really, I want to make sure we're good at that. And yeah. And so another receiver is going to be drafted as well. Again, CeeDee Lamb. This guy doesn't look all that good, honestly. I know what the talent grade says, but I'm looking at him and I'm seeing nothing interesting. So that's definitely not going to happen, despite the round 1 to 2 grade on him. So not going to happen for us. And you see multiple quarterbacks just kind of sitting here. So what are we going to do here now with this pick? I'm not 100% sure. This draft class, I was hoping there'd be some good defensive tackles, but we went out and signed some in the draft or in free agency. And wait a minute, there is a good one here. Courtney Simmons. You can never have enough defensive tackles, in my opinion. And Courtney Simmons, we are going to bring him in. Ranked number 13 in true value. We get him at 44. So everything kind of evens out right there. Only normal dev, but I'm still happy with that pick. So we're going to go to our next user pick as well in this round. I forgot where we got this one from. I'm going to pick another player here, and I think this time we might actually, I don't know, these receivers don't have great speed and they just don't look all that good to me, if I'm being honest. So that's probably just not going to happen. JJ Rogan, A zone coverage, A pursuit, C tackle, physicals look good. And his play rec is a B. So JJ Rogan going to be the pick right here for us. And he was ranked number 116 in true value, but he does have hidden dev. So again, young, athletic, that's what we're getting. This Cowboys roster was old and slow. We have gotten young and athletic, and that's just kind of the key here that I want to do. So last pick that I'm going to make, and then I'm going to let Jerry take over the rest of the picks here. We're going to take a look around, see what's still here. Still another tight end. There's a free safety. There's a strong safety here from Boston College. Doesn't have great man coverage skills. Good speed. Play rec is a C to F. So that's not ideal. I think we'll hear some more strong safeties. If there's anyone here that has good play rec, that could happen. This guy, how does he look? A hit power though. Elite strength, good speed, Jordan Northcutt. We're going to take a shot at him here. See if he's any good. Ranked 147, 89 speed though. So I don't know what he'll be as a player. We'll see. We're going to let Jerry handle the rest of the draft. He's somehow still alive, but let's see how this draft goes. So here is our draft class. Chris Caldwell, 74 overall, hidden dev. His ratings, 85 speed, 88 acceleration, 76 spec catch, 85 catch in traffic. I think that's pretty good, actually. Gonna have to work on the route running. Was that a reach? Probably. But we ended up with a quarterback. Our best pick of the draft actually ends up being Courtney Simmons, a defensive tackle that we took, 344 pounds, 94 strength, 78 block shedding, 77 play rec. We have a lot of depth at defensive tackle, but it's also guys who are going to come off the books over the next few seasons. So that's going to be, again, getting new bodies to replace the old bodies. That's what you have to do here, I think. So, and that's the rest of the draft. So I'm going to get into the training camp, and then I'll see you at the start of whatever season this is, because I've kind of lost track. Okay, so Chris Caldwell has Superstar X Factor. Able to do a drill, did it, and yeah, he has Superstar X Factor. So that was the 100% correct pick in the draft. We did not get it wrong. We got a Superstar X Factor, 23-year-old, 6'5", 256-pound tight end. What a pick. All right, so starting off year number 3 or 4, I forget. We have one more season after this one. I'll say that much. So this is the team. We are in 87 overall, 89 overall offense, 85 overall defense. Offense, I think, looks great. We should be ready to rock and roll at quarterback with Cade Klubnik, his first year starting. So this should be really technically year 3. Jeremiah Love, Coleman, CeeDee Lamb, Bell, Bo Sparks, London Humphreys. I think we have a good receiving core. This guy is going to start for us. He just is. Sorry to Jake Ferguson, but this guy looks really good. Got to have him starting. And defensively, we are switching to a 3-4 defense, as I think this is the best way to kind of, build this out moving forward for us. All these defensive tackles that we have, these guys are going to be playing. I will have to change this again. I'm not sure why it's so obsessed with having Ezaraku starting, but it is. That is going to be Olafemi Oladejo. Don't know why they keep doing that, but it's very annoying. So that's the defense. I think the defense looks really good. I think, maybe strong safety could be better, but hey, it is what it is. I'll see you at the midseason mark. All right, we're going to make a trade before the start of the season. Jake Ferguson going to the Buccaneers. We're going to pick up Tyke Smith and Will Cox, a safety. We're going to send them a couple picks, and we're going to upgrade at strong safety. I think that was kind of the last position that we needed to get really filled in our defense, and we fill it with Tyke Smith. So I'll see you at the midseason mark. All right, so we're doing really good here. We are 6-1 at the midseason mark, and we're gonna take a look here at the stats and awards. Cade Klubnik playing well, 17 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Jeremiah Love, like I said, I just can't get running backs to sim well for me. I have no idea why. I feel like these are wrong. Like, there's no way you have 64 attempts. You're at, like, that just... All right, whatever. CD Lamb, 617 yards. Cam Coleman, Chris Bell playing well. Chris Caldwell playing well. Jeremiah Love. I feel like the sim engine needs to spread things around more than just 2 to 3 receivers. I'm not sure what that is all about. That's just not how it should be. But Danny Sutton, 7 sacks. Olufemi Oladejo, 7 sacks, 5.5 for Brian Brzee. And a little bit of fall off after that. And then for interceptions, Cooper DeJean, and that's about it. So not going to make any changes at the deadline this time. Not going to trade anyone away. We're 6-1. Still a really tight divisional race with the rest of the NFC East, but I'll see how we do if we can make the playoffs. I hope we can. We look good for it, though. All right, so we were able to make the playoffs at 13-4, upgrade the team after all the upgrades. We are an 88 overall, 89 overall offense, 88 overall defense. We look great. Cade Klubnik had a great season. 42 touchdowns to 10 interceptions, 5,000 yards. Jeremiah Love, 870 yards, was only able to top 1,000 yards once so far. That's very odd, honestly. Great season from CD Lamb, 1,500 yards. Chris Bell, Cam Coleman played great. Chris Caldwell, all these C names have a lot of, CD, Chris, Cam, and Chris. That'd probably be on a t-shirt or something. But yeah, Theo Johnson, I thought would play really well for us. Was our backup tight end. But yeah, Chris Caldwell, I think that was just a great pick. Superstar X Factor, rookie tight end. Great season, almost 700 yards. And then defensively, how did we do defensively? Defensively, we did pretty well. 12.5 for Danny Sutton, 12.5 for Brian Brzee, 10 for Olufemi Oladejo, 4.5 for Dorian Williams, Rook Oro, 3.5. Imagine trying to say that name quick. A sack and 2 interceptions on the year for Anthony Hill Jr., Tyke Smith, a sack and an interception as well on the season. And Cooper DeJean was 3 interceptions on the season, which did lead us, but also 2 from Anthony Hill, and Siobhan Revel with 2, Max Melton with 2. So I think that was like a really good signing along with the Cooper DeJean signing as well. So really put this team together really nicely, and we'll see if we can beat the Panthers in sim. All right, first playoff game is going to not come down to this field goal, but we are going to kick this field goal here. That should extend the lead out, and that really should make it kind of unwinnable for the Carolina Panthers. And we are going to move on to the NFC divisional round here as we beat the Carolina Panthers 31-14. Pretty easy game for us, honestly. So we're moving on. We beat the Panthers. Great first win for Cade Klubnik in this kind of new era Dallas Cowboys team. Why does it always happen that we end up playing teams that we made a big trade with? The Buccaneers, we started the season trading for their safety Tyke Smith. We traded them our former starting tight end because we had a superstar X Factor tight end. Let's go take a look at this Buccaneers team because I do want to see who is their starting quarterback. They still have Baker. They do still have Baker, so that's good to see. And they needed tight end help, and we gave them one, honestly. They needed, well, actually, they were pretty decent at tight end, but we gave them a bit of an upgrade at tight end for a team that was going for it. We found a player that we thought was better for us where we were, and I think this is a trade that worked out for everyone, but now the real deciding factor would be what happens in this playoff game. All right, so it looks like we are going to be moving on to the NFC Championship game as we beat the Buccaneers 31-13. Pretty handily defeated them, actually. So let's see who we're playing in the NFC Championship game. So, NFC Championship game taking on the Detroit Lions. So we're higher rated them, but they have, Jamar Gibbs, Aiden Hutchinson, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, this is just a absolutely stacked Lions team taking on a pretty stacked Cowboys team. So I think we've really turned this thing around. NFC Championship game. Let's see if we can get to the Super Bowl. All right, we are headed to the Super Bowl 35-28. We beat the Lions in this one. Looked like it was a back and forth game. I just let the CPU handle it. We get the win. We're moving on to the Super Bowl. Cade Klubnik does what Dak couldn't. So we are taking on the Bengals in the Super Bowl. Cowboys, Bengals. Both teams 13-4, but we are, I think, not significantly, but we are better than them. 90 overall, 92 overall offense, 89 overall defense. So should be a good game, but hopefully one that we win. And here we go, a couple kneel downs, and that is going to do it here as we are going to complete this rebuild here. And we are going to win the Super Bowl with the Dallas Cowboys with Cade Klubnik. And kind of improbable here. I mean, I did not think we'd be able to do it with Cade Klubnik of all quarterbacks, but we were. So one more kneel down, even that should have been the last one right there. And clock is going to wind down. Triple zeros here. We're not going to take one more kneel down. We win the Super Bowl with the Dallas Cowboys 14-7. Jeremiah Love, Cade Klubnik, CeeDee Lamb, all of these guys get it done. Joe Burrow, now 0-2 in the playoffs, and the Cowboys, America's team, allegedly, is now back on top of the world. And I have no clue if Jerry Jones is dead right now or not, but if he isn't, he's probably very happy, and he's definitely with a woman who is not his wife. But Cade Klubnik gets it done, wins the Super Bowl. So for our free agent class, we're going to have to let some players walk away. I did a bunch of re-signings. Donovan Enzaraku, going to have to walk. Brian Brzee, we're going to let walk. Martin Emerson Jr., we're going to let walk. Backup running back, we're going to let walk. Backup right tackle, backup middle linebacker. Terrence Steele, we're going to let walk. And our fullback, we'll re-sign the fullback. Bring him back, but we had $180 million in cap. We are all the way down to $34 million in cap because, we re-signed a bunch of guys. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to bring most of this team back as is. I don't think there's too many holes. So I'll take a look at free agency. I'll see if there's anywhere that we need to plug up. But I think for the most part, we're fine. We should be good to go and ready to rock and roll and try to repeat as Super Bowl champions. A little bit of free agency here. Most of these guys are just kind of backups to kind of just fortify the roster. We signed Jordan Fuller, Zaire Franklin, Brian Robinson Jr., and Dalton Schultz. So just some guys to kind of, fortify the roster, some veterans just to bring on to kind of be there, give us some depth, and that's going to do it for free agency for us. And one more for the road here. It's going to be Jalen Ramsey. We're going to bring him in. Still an 83 overall, so he should slot him pretty well for us. Wanted to bring him in. He still has good athleticism, and he probably wants to ring chase a little bit. So why not bring him in, see if we can get Jalen Ramsey another ring. All right, draft recap. We ended up taking a spare edge rusher. He does have hidden dev, but his finesse moves are a 58. He is a pure power moves guy. So that's kind of interesting. Then we took a safety here, 91 speed, Alani Boswell. And again, always like taking safeties. He doesn't have great coverage skills, but he looks like a really good athlete. So that could be something. Does have hidden dev, and we've kind of had some luck with these guys before. Took another defensive tackle with hidden dev, Enrique Baker. 87 strength, terrible power moves. Not a guy who's probably going to start or play too much for us. We already have a lot of guys on our defensive line, but play rec is good. Block shedding's okay. His finesse moves are good, but a lot of work. It's really strange to have good strength, but poor power moves. That's just very odd. But we'll try to put the work in and develop him. His corners or whatever. Alec O'Neal, normal dev receiver. Really nothing to write home about with him, but that's the draft. Again, nothing too crazy, but I'll see you for the start of the final season of this rebuild. All right, so here's the team for the final year of this rebuild. We are a 90 overall, 92 overall offense, 89 overall defense. And yeah, this is it. So I think we have built a pretty good team here, honestly. I don't know if I want to say powerhouse necessarily, but I think there's still some room for this defensive line to get better, but I think we're in a good place with the defensive line. Great place with the cornerbacks, I think. I think they're, just good enough, and we should be ready to go here. So let's see what we can do. And we end up going 16-1. Take a look at the stats. And Cade Klubnik has developed into an amazing quarterback for us. 53 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. 851 yards for Jeremiah Love, but 19 touchdowns. And then Chris Bell, Cam Coleman, CeeDee Lamb leading the way. Chris Caldwell leading it as well at the tight end position. But CeeDee Lamb maybe starting to drop off a little bit, but these younger receivers are right there to kind of pick up the torch from them. Defensively, how did we do? 14 sacks for Olafemi. Courtney Simmons with 11 sacks. Aurora with 8 sacks. Danny Sutton only with 8 on the year, but a lot of guys able to kind of contribute to that. And then tons of interceptions, tons of turnovers by this defense. Jalen Ramsey had a really good year as well. Teague Smith had a good year. So really good stuff right there. Not sure why they weren't in our starting lineup before, but we looked ready to go on to the Super Bowl again. So let's see if we can get there. Gonna take on the Eagles. We're just gonna simulate these from here on out. Let's see if we can beat them. All right, so we took care of the Eagles 28-14. Now let's see if we can take care of the Rams, who are 13-4, but again, we're way better than them at a 92 overall, 93 overall offense, 92 overall defense. Let's see if we can get this done. All right, we're in the Super Bowl with the Cowboys yet again, and we are taking on the Cleveland Browns. So one last bit of upgrades here, and we're going to do all of these. That guy has 4 upgrades. That's a lot. Bunch of upgrades for that guy, that center. We are up to a 93 overall, 95 overall offense, 92 overall defense. Let's see if we can beat the Browns in the Super Bowl. Whoop, I almost missed it, but we end up winning the Super Bowl back-to-back. 24-17, we beat Julian Sand and the Cleveland Browns, the team that we just rebuilt last time. So hopefully I have this up before the Monday Night Football game between the Cowboys and Raiders. If you're watching this, let me know what you thought of the rebuild. We're going to go take one final look at this team, though, but another Super Bowl. We go back-to-back, another successful rebuild on the channel, which I'm very proud of. And so there it is, the final overall of this team, 92 overall, 93 overall offense, 92 overall defense. I mean, this rebuild went pretty well, actually. I mean, Bo Sparks, London Humphrey, neither of those guys really ever did anything, just because the way the Madden Sim engine works. Your top 3 receivers are going to be the only receivers who really get any sort of targets. That's kind of it. So, really, unless you're actually playing the game, there's probably no point in really worrying about who your wide receiver 4 or 5 is. But when you're doing a rebuild like this, you just focus on who your top 3 are. And I think we already had a good one in CeeDee Lamb, and then Coleman and Bell. Bell somehow really worked out. This guy that we, were kind of indifferent on drafting, but he worked out for us pretty well, honestly. So Bell played great for us. Cade Klubnik, up to a superstar X Factor, worked out for us perfectly, even with the 85 throw power. But I just think having that extra boost of having that initial hidden dev, which was star, and then getting it bumped up to superstar, I think that just kind of supercharged him on that pathway of progression. So I think that's really worked out for us. I did not expect to be doing a Cade Klubnik rebuild at any point in time for Madden 26 this year. Defense worked out great for us. Anthony Hill Jr. was awesome. Oladeja was great. Sutton worked out for us. Defensive line, young and still getting better. I mean, this team, Max Melton's really good. It looks like I'm going to go on a limb and say that Jalen Ramsey likely retired, called it a career after securing yet another Super Bowl ring for himself. So, yeah, just awesome stuff here. CeeDee Lamb, I believe he is now starting actually to regress a little bit. And yes, he is starting to get some skill regression here. But hey, got 2 Super Bowls with him. You always like seeing that. Let's go take a look at the retirements real quick. And yes, Jalen Ramsey ends up retiring, goes out on top as a Super Bowl champion. So I'll see you guys in the next one as I have to take a phone call. Thanks for watching. Peace.